Oh, we, we. Watch how you talking to yourself. Your internal conversation is gonna lead to you know, what you taking on the outside. What you allowing to be said to you any other time. So you gotta be careful how you be talking to yourself. That's to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Gotta make sure that's understood. Like, we ain't even finna be talking to each other like that. Self. So you gotta look in the mirror and say, self, hey, we ain't even finna start that. We ain't even on that with each other. We not talking to each other like that. We not doing that. We not doing that. And it's very important that you know, hold that round table with yourself. Cause too often we be talking crazy to ourselves and then wonder why other people feel comfortable talking crazy to you. How many times been having a conversation with you? What's up with the she? Been having a conversation with yourself, and then next thing you know, next person you talk to, or somebody throughout the day come up to you talking about that same thing. Come up to you talking about that same thing to the point you like, hold up, was you tapping into our conversation? Was you? Cause you wasn't on the phone, you were talking to yourself, so you like, was you listening to me? But what it is, we keep it on a basic level. Something you don't need no Rockefeller degree for. You know what I'm saying? We keep it on a basic level. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. You know what I'm saying? So the same energy that's running through you that led to you talking to yourself the way that you talk to yourself, or led to you hearing the conversation that you was allowing to play out in your head. That same energy is all around you. It's going to other people. You know, some people they hear those conversations, they automatically deflect. You know what I'm saying? They automatically deflect and put it off on somebody else immediately. Like, hold on, I ain't even play that. Then some folks hear it and just be like, you know what? I ain't finna put that off on nobody else. I'ma diagnose it, and I'ma keep it going. I'm gonna do a self check. That's part of the diagnosis. You can do a self check and make sure you're not fitting into that. Some things coming to your attention because it's like, hold up, check yourself before you wreck yourself. It's like, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Don't get too far ahead of yourself. So some conversations of that nature, it ain't all that bad. It ain't never bad. They say the difference between a good and a bad day is your attitude. So it all depends on how you take it. You know what I mean? Things ain't gonna stop happening in life. You just gonna get stronger. You feel me? But these things that you go through, you gonna get stronger. It's just gonna make you stronger. These things come to make you stronger, not to make you weaker. But if you having conversations in your head to say, man, I don't know if I can take no more. You having conversations in your head to say, man, I ain't gonna be able to take that. You might be even having conversations in your head saying, man, look, I had a great morning, so I know some nonsense about to come. Even if it do come, if you got your mind made up and you in a straight little mood, you feel me, you gonna probably even perceive the so-called what you once would consider as nonsense. You gonna look at it like, hold on, oh, this is an opportunity for me to exercise. It's just another hill for me to climb, you feel me? But I know through me rising to the occasion, I'm gonna get stronger for the exercises that I'm taking. You feel me? What's up with the Sierra? I know I'm gonna be stronger for the strides that I'm taking. Whereas if you making up in your mind that things come up to you just to make you weaker, to remind you that you ain't nothing, or to make you feel like you less than, guess what? Every time that happen, that's how it's gonna feel. And it's based on the conversation that you having with yourself. So if you're having a conversation where every time you reflect about yourself, you think less of yourself, everything around you gonna give you more and more reason to think less of yourself. It's not that that was what it was intended for, but the intentions or the conversations of feeling less than within yourself is leading you to believe that. You know, if you can control what a person believes, you can control what a person achieves. That don't just rhyme, but that's reality. You can control how a person sees themselves. You can control where a person will see themselves. You see what I'm saying? Like it's almost inevitable the ability to control somebody's trajectory. You feel me? Most people will not allow for themselves to have these conversations because they feel like, man, you know what? It's not enough people in the room for me to receive that and feel like everybody else is working on themselves. You know what I'm saying? So when we having these conversations, some of y'all come into the room, you know, get to a point that you doing things because you know it's best for you. You feel me? Don't do things because it's like, man, the crowd is here. You know what I mean? The crowd is here, so I'm gonna be present. Nah, be present in each moment and recognize that's where your power lies. What you do in each moment, what you allow for yourself to participate from one moment to the next. That's what's gonna make the world of difference. That's what's gonna make the world of difference in your life when you recognize opportunity versus obstacle. And even if you do perceive something to be an obstacle, say, man, you know what, this finna make me stronger right here. Cause look how high that mountain is. When I get to the top of that, yeah, my legs gonna be burning. But imagine how much muscle I'm gonna be building. You feel me? And then after all this time of me working on myself, you know, that's that whole conversation people be having with themselves when they get prepared for they summer body, because they know it's gonna get hot at some point, right? And once it get hot, once we in that kitchen, it gets so hot that you can't keep on wearing all these things you've been wearing to cover up the work that you might be putting in or the work that you might not be putting in based on conversations that you having with yourself. It's one thing to be motivated. It's one thing to be motivated, right? But it's another thing to have the balance of being able to carry out the things that you were motivated to do. Inspiration gonna continue to come. You feel me? You're gonna constantly have conversations within yourself for the great things that you could be doing. But are you gonna have the willpower? Are you gonna have the love, the care for yourself? You feel me? Enough to carry it out. Enough to carry it out and see it through. You know, when you first start working out, like you're not gonna see immediate results. You know, you're not gonna see immediate results as far as your physical body, but mentally, when you set out to do something and you do it, mentally you immediately start releasing certain endorphins. You start releasing certain energy within yourself that gives you that feeling of success or fulfillment. So yeah, that's your immediate right there. You know what I mean? But a lot of folks, you know, we trade that out for cheap dopamine, you know, whether that be, excuse me, I made a post today and certain people said they liked it. You don't know how these people actually um internalized it to the point that it made them better. You know, when it comes to making something or someone better, there is going to be fruits of that labor. You feel me? There's gonna be results that come with that. You feel me? If you feel like you may have failed a test, if you find out, man, look, I came up a little short. Appreciate them likes, love. If you find out I might have came up a little short on the test, are you gonna immediately start to get down on yourself? That's a reaction. But when you realize that, hey, man, I came up a little short, and you go about figuring out how to correct that, that's a proper response to the point that when that test comes back around, we're gonna see who was putting in that work in preparation for a proper response versus those that just kept getting down on themselves to the point that when that test came back around, when that opportunity to correct certain actions came back around, instead of, you know, doing what's necessary to create a proper response or to give a proper response, you got down on yourself. You had a knee-jerk reaction and you just stayed there. You just stayed there. It's it's man, it's important to your growth. It's a requirement for growth for you to self-reflect. For you to self-reflect for proper growth. Let's say it that way. For proper growth, it's important that you self-reflect. A lot of times we downplay the importance of self-reflection because we be so focused on taking action. Whereas sometimes if you're not careful, they say you went a long way, but you went the wrong way. So it's important to pay attention whatsoever God is to your conversation that you're having with yourself. It's important to get to a point that in your solitude you appreciate yourself enough to not pay so much attention to what others might do or might not do. But you recognize, man, you know what? This is what I'm gonna do for me. Integrity, integrity, the integrity of who you are, the fabric, the makeup of who you are depends on it. Um, if you always show up when everybody else show up, it's a good chance you're just gonna be a spectator. It's just gonna be a spectator. Whenever people that was doing the work, when nobody was around, when nobody showed up, when nobody was looking, the people that they show up to see is gonna always be the ones that was doing the work when nobody was looking because they got a certain level of integrity. They know, hey man, I gotta be busy about the work of building myself up. When can't nobody else hear the conversations that I'm having with myself, I gotta talk to myself with some sense. I gotta give myself credit. You know what I'm saying? I might not want credit from nobody else. I might not want credit from nobody else, but I gotta give that for me. You feel me? I might not need credit from nobody else, but I'm gonna give me some credit because the internal conversations that I have with myself is gonna determine how much further I go. It's gonna determine how often I take that inspiration and apply myself. You feel me? It's not a thing where you can negotiate with yourself on that. You know what I'm saying? It's non-negotiable. You know what I'm saying? If you wonder why you lack self-esteem, you wonder why you don't have the ability to see things through. You start and you never finish. It's because the conversations that you having with yourself and the conversations that we having with ourselves are largely based off of how we let ourselves down. It's largely based off of, hey, you know what? The last time I had a great idea, I started it, but I ain't finished it. So now self is like, you know what? We don't even trust you. It's one thing when other people don't trust you. It's a whole nother thing when you don't trust yourself. And then on top of that, when your lack of trust for yourself is plagued by everybody else feeling it, everybody else feeling what they feel and pushing it off on you. On top of that, bro, you compounding the issue. It's a whole nother thing when you got that understanding of your capabilities. You got that experience with you seeing things through to the point you got what they like to call that great C word. You got confidence, pure confidence, because you have had experience with your own abilities. Hey, even when my back was against the wall, even when I felt like I lost it all, I realized there was something deeper inside of me that was gonna help me make it through it, even when it seemed like I was about to fall. How many times you done been knocked down and had to pick yourself up? They say one of the most dangerous people, one of the most dangerous men or women is the one that has the ability, even when they lost it all, to pick themselves back up. That's that person that don't need outside validation. That's that person that has no need for other people to validate them with saying, man, I see you. No need for other people to turn around and tell them, hey, you know what? You're going to be all right. You unstoppable at that point. Because sometimes oftentimes I'll notice the things that I have to accomplish in life, I have to achieve, Other people couldn't see it, otherwise they would have been doing it. Now it's a beautiful thing when you run across people that are involved in the same things that you are. You know what I mean? They on the same mission. You know, it makes you feel like, you know what, I'm not alone in this. But you cannot, you should not. It's gonna be in your best interest in achieving anything to not wait for that. You know, it's gonna be almost impossible to run across them folks if you're not out here doing something, first of all. So gotta get started first of all. You know what I'm saying? And after doing it, you're gonna know what it's looking like when other people working on themselves. You're gonna find yourself at the track and you're gonna see a face a couple of times and be like, you know what, that person consistent like me. You feel me? That person consistent like me. Too often we trade in we trade in that cheap dopamine, you know what I'm saying, for the feelings of fulfillment and success that come by way of you being consistent and persistent in your goals. Persistently consistent in achieving goals. You feel me? Now when you on that page, you're gonna run across them folks that's on that same level. It's gonna hit different. But when you trading it in for cheap dopamine, some of us don't realize the main reasons why we chasing relationships. You know what I mean? And we put so much pressure on our relationships because we're not getting that commitment from ourselves. We're not getting that commitment from ourselves to the point that now we trying to hold somebody else accountable. But in all actuality, we playing tag. We playing tag, man. It's the inevitable. Like, you know what? As long as I keep running around here looking for somebody hiding, as long as I keep running around here looking for somebody else that's not being themselves, scared to invest, meaning express themselves purely, because when you see what it takes in order to keep going sometime and you see somebody else just need a little extra encouragement, it's okay to smile. It's okay for you to be like, you know what, I got you. I'm gonna hold you up for a little while because I know that's all it took for me to jumpstart myself when I was tired. Keep going and feeling like I was all by myself. So it took for somebody at a certain point to recognize me. But the majority of your relationships with life, your relationship with your partners, people that you wind up taking part in this journey with, right? It cannot be solely based on y'all upholding each other or holding each other up, upholding each other by way of what's up with it, judo, by way of both of y'all being accountable, meaning responding to your own abilities, being accountable to yourself. Hey, you know what? I could do better. I could do better. Not I'm gonna beat myself up until I do better. Because if you're talking crazy to yourself, if you feel like you worthy of punishment, you're going to be okay with keep going through situations that suggest that you deserve punishment. You feel me? But when you see how we trading out different things for things that's going to come anyway. When you're going through something that's an opportunity, when you're going through a situation that's meant to make you stronger, you're going to feel that same pain that you could look at it and say, man, this is similar to punishment. But when you're going through pain because, hey, you know what? I said I was going to do something, and now here it is, the opportunity for me to do something that's work involved. You feel me? That's different. That's different. I always think about my grandma used to tell me about this story, man, about a man in this book called the Bible named Job. And Job went through things not because Job was a bad person. You feel me? Not because Job did anything that wasn't righteous, but other people started telling Job, man, you know what? You're a bad person. That's why you sick. They started telling him you must have did something wrong. That's why you going through this. And even people that knew he didn't do anything wrong just told him, you know what? Just end your suffering. Just end your suffering because they don't know what it looked like, to go through something by way of getting somewhere. We getting somewhere with this. We going somewhere with this. It's not, oh, I'm going through this or I'm headed somewhere because, hey, I'm less than. You feel me? When you get ready to go to the store or the place of your resources. You don't tell yourself, man, I am so bad off that I just need to go there. You say, you know what? I got the resources to exchange what's necessary for me to have some things that I seek to replenish myself with, or I seek to have. You know what? I'm on my way. Gotta look at the situations that you go through in life that, you know, it might seem like to everybody on the outside you going through that because you did something wrong. It might seem like to everybody on the outside that, hey man, you might as well just end your own suffering and do something crazy. I ain't, now is not the time. Now is not the time for you to throw in the towel. Now is not the time. Because half the time, you know, these conversations that I'm saying you would have with other people, a lot of times we having it within ourselves. We wondering within ourselves or telling ourselves, man, I deserve this punishment. You feel me? I deserve this punishment. I deserve to be in a state of lack. You know, you telling yourself, man, look, I'm about to just end this for me. I'm about to just be over with life, you know. And all the while, that's not the answer. That's not the antidote. You feel me? That's not the proper response, but it is a reaction. It's a reaction, you know. It's a human reaction. But when you tap into the energy that's animating his body, you feel me? You feel me? Be more to it. The energy that's animating his body knows that, you know what? That's not the only way that I can deal with it. So I'm giving you a choice. Talking to myself. I'm giving myself a choice in these moments. Like, man, I can continue to do the things that I've been doing. I can continue to respond or react in this sense. You feel me? I can continue to react to life, or I can respond in a way that's gonna be becoming of my growth. I can respond in a way that will make me be able to acknowledge the growth that's taking place in my life. You feel me? That's taking place in my life. Or I can react in a way that's going to lead to more adversity. Not to mention friendly fire as I'm tearing myself down as I'm going through these things. Because I'm having an internal conversation or dialogue with myself that's not one that's becoming of self, not one that's acknowledging the growth that's taking place with all the experiences that I'm going through. Honestly speaking, you're gonna be better for it being grateful. And when you're grateful, there's a difference in conversation. There's a difference in the conversation that you're gonna have with yourself. Appreciate that love. You gotta be careful with the way that you talk to yourself. You are precious. You are worthy of encouraging. You know, I always hear my big mama say, sometimes you gotta encourage yourself. You gotta encourage yourself. Now imagine if you did that all the time. Imagine if you encourage yourself all the time. You'll be able to experience what I like to call the second success and it won't go to your head. You know, too often we not encouraging ourselves. We whoop ourselves into submission of our goals, right? We whoop ourselves into submission of our goals. We force ourselves into achieving things. And then when others begin to acknowledge us, we start to feel like, you know what? That's what I was looking for this whole time. That's the affection, that's the attention that I was looking for this whole time. And at that point, we begin to mistake attention. You know what I'm saying? We begin to mistake attention for love, only to figure out, hey, darn, now you done stopped your footing. You done stopped your footing because now you feel like you done achieved love from somebody outside of yourself to the point now, you know what? I don't even feel the need to keep on pressing towards my goals. I don't even feel the need to keep on achieving. But now things are still coming up. Things are still coming your way. And You don't know how to. You done forgot how to deal with them. Appreciate the love. You done been focused so much on the affection that you have deprived yourself of to the point that when you get it from somebody else, you feel like, man, you know what? I have arrived. I have arrived and wonder why, darn, it seems like every time I get somebody in my life, you feel me, things start to go awry. Things start to become chaotic. There seems to be a static between me and my purpose to the point, at some point, I began to lose even that person because whether whether you want to be honest, I'll be honest with myself. I began to lose that person because I lost myself. I lost myself, that confident person, that driven person that they became infatuated with. They began to desire to be in the presence of is no longer. Instead, I'm a shell of myself. I'm dependent on the affections or the validation of somebody else. When truth be told, we chase commitment in the form of propped up relationships because we refuse to be committed to our purpose. We refuse to be committed to the purpose of evolving, the purpose of constant growth, the purpose of remembering who you truly are and being vulnerable, strong, bold enough to express that on a daily basis. Like, I get it, man. It can be very, very trying sometimes, love, to be your true self, to be your authentic self, not knowing if others are gonna appreciate you. Especially growing up and feeling like, you know what, everybody was trying to make me be something that I'm not. When they, from an immature standpoint, that's how it comes off. You feel me? When people are teaching you how to live, how to exist in this human existence, it can come off as though, like, man, folk don't appreciate me for who I am. They telling me you gotta do this, you gotta clean your room, you gotta wash your ass, you gotta, you know what I'm saying? They telling you all these different things, but when you young and impressionable, it can come off when people are recommending what's best for you in your existence. It can come off as though they're criticizing you, but you should not be tied to these things, like your existence in a physical body so much so that you feel like others are coming at you for telling you ways that you can improve it. You know what I mean? If I seen your car and you had a little damage, like, maybe some paint damage because the sun been hitting that thing pretty hard, and I tell you, it's a way that you can, I think you can mix, what was it, vinegar and coconut oil. Let me remember. Don't quote me on that, but let's just say vinegar and coconut oil. You could rub it on the faded paint, and it bring it back. You wouldn't say, "Dang man, this folk talking crazy about my car." You know what I'm saying? You'd be like, you know what? I'm not the car, so let me try that. See if it don't improve the situation. If you trust my words enough. What's up with the mystery teas to the point that guess what? Trust is one of them things. You begin to lose trust in yourself. You begin to apply that to anything and everyone else. That's why it's so important the conversation that you have with yourself. The conversation that you have with yourself tends to change the lens. If you was a cameraman or somebody that worked with cameras, a dirty lens will make that machine seem like it's not working as well. All the while, it's just the lens dirty. Don't mean that mud ain't capturing pictures. It's just the lens is a bit off. The way you looking at things is a bit off. And when you're not in the best mood, talking to yourself from that downward space, they say when you get down on yourself, you begin to hold your head down a little bit. And then the more down you get on yourself, you begin to hold your head down even more. You got that. You projected this message out here. Just glad you was able to accept it, no matter what form it came in. You begin to hold your head down just a a little more, right? And the more you begin to hold your head down, the less oxygen you was given to your vessel. Now, understand, the less oxygen that you get to your vessel, it clouds your thoughts. It clouds your ability to function to the point that, you know what? Now you're making decisions from a place of not being fully aware. Imagine trying to make a decision with a lack of awareness. There's gonna be a lot of things that you're gonna miss along the way that's gonna leave you open or susceptible to things that, you know what, should you have gave yourself the proper oxygen, should you have taken care of your vessel in such a way, now you can able to make decisions from a place of total awareness to the point that you won't be just making judgment calls based off reactions, but proper responses. Proper responses. There's a big difference between a reaction and a response. You feel me? There's a big difference. A knee-jerk reaction, you just do whatever the body has been doing up until now. You hear me? Now imagine your reaction is, hey, I'm a react the way that I would do if I was in a car accident and I was hit very hard to a situation that somebody just said something to you. That's not the proper response, let alone even a good reaction. You know what I'm saying? Like they said something to you and you took it as though you just got hit. But that's what a lot of us do because we don't pay attention to the conversation that we're practicing before it comes game time. How you practice, how you gonna play. The information that you indulge in, you feel me? The shows that you choose to watch just to entertain yourself. Entertain yourself. This information, these pictures, these visuals, these dialogues are entering you, and they could taint you. They could taint you in such a way that it don't even make sense when somebody start talking to you in some sense. When people be nice to you, or kind to you, you feel me? When people be kind to you, there's a difference between being nice and kind. Sometimes people just, they nice without reason, like it's just, you know what I'm saying, totally oblivious. But some folks are kind, knowing that, hey, you know what, I could smash on you, I could say some unnecessary stuff. Like it hit different when somebody's intentionally saying things to you to uplift you, intentionally treating you in ways that's going to be beneficial to their growth and everyone that they come in contact with. So when you pay attention to folks being kind to you and you notice where they coming from to the point that hey, it'd be like, man, you know what? I'm not even gonna take that as though they had some underlying agenda. For a lot of us, we like, man, but if I ain't thinking about the underlying agenda, won't I leave myself open? Nah. One thing I've noticed since I ain't been looking for no underlying agendas, there's always a warning. There's always a warning or a sign before it go down. You are of the ways of change, meaning you're focused on your growth, which is, you know, a strong proponent of change. When you focused on your growth, you start to recognize, you know what? Man, before things take a full turn, I can see the changes. I can see the signs of a change to the point nothing sneaks up on me. Nothing sneaks up on me. Not to mention you get to a point you be surprised. You like, hold on, man. I remember a time, bro. I probably would have flipped my, you know what I'm saying? I would have flipped my truck if I would have known such and such was finna do what they just did. Cause now once you see the full turn, you like, I remember a time I would have tripped on that, but it's like the fact that I seen it before it happened, or I seen the potential, it gave me a certain level of calm. It gave me a certain level of clarity to the point that, you know what, I realized, man, look, the way that I move because of the internal conversations I have with myself, it's gonna determine my trajectory. So as much as such and such is talking crazy to me, such and such is playing in my face, I refuse to lose my spot. I refuse to lose the position, the work that I've invested into myself just to prove a point to somebody else who a lot of times these folks are not paying attention to that, man. They're not paying attention to the words they saying. They're not even paying attention to how they living. They could care less, making them careless people. You know what I'm saying? It can be dangerous to another careless person. You feel me? But somebody who already doing the work, it's just another opportunity for me to exercise. Just another opportunity for me to exercise patience. And through me exercising patience with this person, you know what? The consistency of me being persistent in my purpose, the consistency of me being persistent in my purpose causes changes in other people. Causes changes in other people. But the majority of the time, when we just as careless as other folks, just as careless as about our own growth, because of the internal dialogue we having with ourselves, man, I ain't finna let nobody play with me. I ain't finna take nothing. Guess what? Y'all both continuing down an energy path that ain't conducive to your growth. And instead of you seeing that things is happening for you to increase your growth, increase your understanding of the energy that is truly you, the expression that's animating this body, the God-like energy, meaning the energy that surpasses this human understanding. Instead, you further the fall of your energy that fell into this animated body. You further that trajectory. And when you start taking on those energy signatures, there's things that come along with that, so you can't even be mad that you get that. Cause that's what you pushed out, and that's what you're gonna get back. That's what you're gonna get back. Again, don't forget, you go through things, and it seems like you're going through it, and it's not something that you brought on yourself. Recognize it's an opportunity, a divine alignment for you to express the greatness that is. It's not a punishment. Though growth is painful, though growing pains are real, and it can trick you. You know what I'm saying? It can trick you. You might feel like, man, I'm going through a punishment because I'm experiencing pain. Nah, what you really are experiencing is weakness leaving the body. Weakness leaving the body. And when you don't want to let certain things go, it can be painful because you're familiar. You know what I'm saying with it. You familiar with it. And I know some man. Sometimes I used to tell myself I'm cool with the demon that I know or the devil that I know. That's crazy. That's crazy. So you would rather hold on to the anguish. You would rather, man. Likewise, it take one to know one. You would rather stay in that familiar space of the chaos that you came up in. You would rather be like, you know what? I know this outcome. I know how these detrimental things play out, and I was able to survive them before, rather than experience the growth that come with you being surprised at how life rewards you. You know, some of the most lofty ideas that I had, once I achieved, they was far beyond like I say, man, look, I'm gonna jump this high. I'm gonna jump 6 feet in the air, or just throwing an idea out there. I'm gonna jump 6 feet in the air. Then next thing you know, I realized I jumped 6.5. Like, hold on. Maybe I should have set my standards higher. Maybe I should have set my goals higher. That's the thing that I recognize. When you set out to do something, it usually goes further than you expected it to. Just like negativity travels, you know what I'm saying? It travels fast, I come to realize, man, positivity does the same, man, amongst positive people or people that are seeking the ways of positivity. Some folks, there's man, are the ways of negative and don't realize they seeking it right, um, or don't realize that there's the perception of negative things that's happening in their lives, all to lead them to something positive. Because when I thought it was a whole bunch of negative stuff happening in my life, it was like just shaking me up. Like, man, I love you so much. I'm gonna keep on throwing things in your face. I'm gonna keep on giving you experiences that get your attention. To the point, it's like, man, is it really a negative experience? Was it really a mistake? Because it just kept on getting my attention. You know, majority of the time we wired to negativity, meaning we wired to see it negatively, but it don't mean it was necessarily negative. I'm gonna say that again. We wired to see it negative, but it doesn't mean that it was a negative experience. Especially if it opens your eyes, especially if it got your attention. And for that, I'm grateful. I started my day when I'm in my right mind. You feel me? Expressing that I'm grateful. It used to be I would sit there and have to think of all the things that I'm grateful for, but now it's just I just, prophesy that I'm grateful. I express that I'm grateful. Even lately I've been looking in the mirror and saying, "You're amazing. You're wealthy." I even think when I say those things, I'm like, man, it used to be a time I had to picture, or say what I want, what ways I wanted to be wealthy, but now I understand with a certain level of clarity that wealthiness is all encompassing. There's a wealth of knowledge, there's a wealth of experiences. You feel me? There's a wealth of moods. And just me being able to acknowledge that I'm one with those things allows for me to recognize the totality of me and give me my power back in each moment. Give me my power back in each moment that I was just freely giving away. What that girl say? She don't know what she doing. She just giving it out. Ain't we knowing what we doing. We just be giving it out. I don't know, man. It's something about when you get to that shift in your life. You know what I'm saying? Just like when you go to work and you work your shift. It's a different energy. To the point, no matter what goes on while you on your shift, you have to let other people know that that's where you at right now. And no matter what I hear, you know what I'm saying? I always wind up going along with the shift that I'm on. I say I ain't gonna put you down. I'm gonna put you on. I ain't gonna put you down. I'm gonna put you on. So I intentionally go out of my way to indulge in information. My butterfly friends are coming up to indulge in information in order to, one, pour into my cup. But I don't stop because I seek to create an overflow that it may spill over into some dirty lenses. Feel me? Into some dirty lenses and provide some clarity, man. Once you see the light, you're gonna see it right. You're gonna see it right. Recognizing you had the power to lead your people wrong, but chose to lead them right. That's, man, a different level of discipline, conviction. You know, often people come in and they acknowledge the surface. They acknowledge the surface. They say things. No disrespect. Appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate the acknowledgement. Just let me know where some people are. Not necessarily, just where they speaking from. You feel me? I just say that. Um, but I utilize the acknowledgement or the appreciation of my surface or my physical to lead you to something that's beneath your surface, to connect to the you that's behind the eyeballs. So when you begin to express the greatness that's truly you, that's where you pull from to the point. It's like, man, you know what? I'm not even scared to be myself. Appreciate y'all coming through. I'm not scared. What's up with it, love? I'm not scared to be myself. Because I know there's an endless supply of me. You know what I'm saying? My supply is unlimited to the point I can say, man, I appreciate you. You know, if we came together and put our energies together, we could actually build something. Now I know for a lot of people that can be scary. They had people that they lended or they blended their energies with. And it seemed like people didn't appreciate them. But I'm gonna give you this. When you do things with no hidden agenda, when you do things with no fear, there's nothing that can appear. Like it might look away, you feel me? And you might even acknowledge, like, "Damn, I remember a time that would affect me a certain way." It's like, darn, I get the signs and I be just grateful. Like I had a homeboy of mine, he say, man, look, when I first get with somebody, whether it's a business deal or a woman that I'm feeling, you feel me? I go all in on my investments. What's up with it, Mike? I go in, what's up with it, Cole? Cole, I go all in on my investments. And, there was another guy there and he was like, man, but what if they run off? What if they, don't stick around? He say, man, look, at least I know now who I'm dealing with. At least I know I'm dealing with somebody that, don't see the value in seeing the thing through. Don't see the value in what I'm seeking to bring, as well as what I feel like they could bring to the table. For a lot of us, gotta recognize, man, you got that endless supply within yourself. You got those resources to where you can extend yourself to where no matter what the next person does, no matter how they may seem like they running off on the plug, you begin to recognize, you know what? I'm the socket. I'm the source in which energy is drawn from. So you know what? I'm gonna be better for no matter how I experience things. You feel me? No matter what I experience in this life. What's up with it, divine? And I'm able to say, you know what? Even in those moments where I feel that I might be breaking, I might even feel like I'm broken. I can still give thanks for the healing that's bound to come. I can give thanks for the healing that's actually taking place. Because by the time, man, I don't know about y'all, but my pain threshold, my experience with pain has been so, man, so often. You feel me? And so relentless to the point that by the time I acknowledge that there's a problem, it's already appreciate the love. It's already been mean. It's already a deeper problem than maybe others would say, man, how is you able to keep going? Like, your blood pressure is this high, or how are you able to keep going? You fractured something. And it's like, man, how are you able to keep going when you sick, right? Well, when it comes to even something as simple as a cold, by the time you recognize that you sick, appreciate that love. By the time you recognize that you sick, the body is already healing itself, expelling it from your system to the point that, hey, by the time we even recognize that it's a problem, it's already being dealt with. By the time we recognize there's a need, there's already a fulfillment order in place. You know what I'm saying? By the time you recognize that there's a harvest that you're desiring, that seed is already planted. Look, be grateful that you was able to see the signs before it became time. And the only way you're gonna be able to do that is talk to yourself right, man. Watch how you talking. 'Cause when you talking to yourself as though you nothing and nothing works in your favor, you talking to a million some cells in the body. And instead of you calling on your legions of angels, your legions of energy to fulfill what you was purposed to do. Purpose is like it's on a greater level. You know what I'm saying? It's on a greater understanding of existence. You feel me? Purpose is beyond this logical human ability, human limitation. To the point certain things, man, when we get so upset about certain things being moved out the way, because logically it don't make sense. Logically it don't make sense. How am I losing everything? What's up with it, Emily? How am I losing everything, right? But yet things is working in my favor. But there are certain things that you are allowed to be a part of your life, like feeling like you deserve punishment. That's gotta go. That's gotta go, baby. In order for you to actually appreciate the reward that comes by way of you being consistently persistent in your purpose. You feel me? For you to appreciate the reward of you being consistently persistent in your purpose to the point that, hey, where there wasn't a door, you made one. But there wasn't an opportunity where it only appeared to be an obstacle. Through you constantly rising to the occasion, you built up muscle to the point that now, when that same obstacle keeps appearing, you leap over that mud like it wasn't there. But you remember a time though. You remember a time when somebody said something out the way to you, boy, you ready to crash out. But now you able to see it before it happened to the point you don't even swerve out the way. You just change lanes. Better yet, it don't even come your way because you know what? Hey, it seems like it's the same experience, but it seems like it's a similar experience, but it don't have that same effect no more. Cause certain things ain't like me no more. And now I play a different role in the scene. Now I play a different role in the scene. Instead of being somebody who's being antagonized, instead of being somebody who is caught off guard, who is shocked, somebody who recognizes, you know what, I see what you're trying to do. But even if it wasn't in the script, I'm able to ad lib in such a way that the director say, you know what, I keep that in there. Keep that in there. Keep that in there. I needed that. Man, you brought some to the scene that we needed and didn't know we needed just based on the internal dialogue that you've been having with yourself. Just based on the internal dialogue that you've been having with yourself. For those who maybe just a little worried, people gonna think I'm crazy if they find out I'm this and Linda. We can tell those who already that allow for themselves to be themselves for a while now. We can tell when you don't talk to yourself. Cause you seem so uncomfortable around people. You know what I'm saying? When you ain't talking to your people, you know what I'm saying? That's inside of you, your faculties. Oh man, it's apparent. It's apparent. Cause you get around people out here and you socially awkward. You so socially awkward. You so unsure of yourself. So, fret not. And it's been proven, meaning enough people have analyzed and watched the data of other people, the experiences of other people that they find out that geniuses, those that are in tune with their genes, the fullest expression of their genes, talk to themselves or have internal dialogues, reflect, think before acting, respond to where proper responses can be had. Just like I know, for you to even allow for this conversation to enter, I always hear that word entertain. to enter your space. You feel me? You obviously had a certain amount of experiences up until now for you to be able to internalize this, for you to be able to appreciate these type of conversations. And I just want to tell you, I'm grateful. What's up with the key there? I'm grateful. G, I don't know if I responded to you, but I appreciate you being up in here, G. Um, I'm grateful for all the things that you was able to experience up until now that made you available to yourself. You feel me? Appreciate you, love. Oh, don't get me started on the Dolphins right now. Um, I sleep on smoke right now, but you got a certain amount of experiences to make you aware and have a certain heightened ability to yourself to the point that you manifest it here, and it's not by accident. Appreciate you. Appreciate the greatness that is you. You feel me? And all that you've been through. Now, this is a participation part, just cause like I would be remiss if I didn't. You know what I'm saying? But who's noticed the developments with the Dolphins lately? And depending on the responses that I get, I might allow myself to put some focus in on that conversation today. Might do a separate live with that. For real? For real? Nah, G Money, you been having an amazing internal dialogue. You ain't even been worried, which I as well, but certain things have been intentionally put on my path. You know, I'm gonna give you a little background before I get too far with it. Mm, when I started getting bolder on my approach to life, you feel me? So, Patty, um, one of the first conversations that came across me was a documentary or just a show, because folks gonna get in their feels about it, but about mermaids. Um, Another one was about dolphins, and of course whales, right? Dolphins struck me because I associated or I identified, when they said some of the most intelligent creatures. So, I identified with intelligence, you feel me? So when they say they some of the most intelligent creatures, I'm like, what's up with them dolphins? You feel me? Not to mention just the sight of them. Like, I used to like the Miami Dolphins just because they was you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's always been a internal dialogue that's being had with me and these beings. You know what I'm saying? Um, I even watched a documentary where NASA had a dolphin that was with this lady that they was using for studies, and upon the lady having the dolphin so long, they developed a relationship, an intimate relationship. And of course, intimacy is mental, and it can take on a certain level of physicality. But even in that physicality, it's mostly felt mentally. You know what I'm saying? Um, if you ain't got to that place, I will that you do. And you not just be strictly stuck in the physicality of even having a physical intercourse. You know what I'm saying? But be that as it may, there was a fellow who recently, and I have this understanding that there was a time and place where we interacted with nature, and it wasn't in a predatory manner. But now nature sees us as, you know what I'm saying, that way, based on the energy signatures that a lot of us have on us. Why it's important to detoxify your body, because there's certain things that you're participating with that has the blood on it, that has the energy signature of somebody being traumatized based on what you're ingesting and what they're mixing with your anyway, um, deal with me, because I'm a person who's been on a fast. You know what I'm saying? So I got a lot. You know what I'm saying? of conduit energy flowing through me. Whatever. So there was a guy who been missing. I want to say it was close to 12 days, or it was more than 3 days. We're gonna say that he been missing. And then Shawty showed up, drawing up a diagram of something that he said he was commissioned to build. You feel me? Commissioned to build. And guess where he was? Underwater. They said, when people was asking like how he was able to breathe, they said it was a leader or a dolphin that was in charge that made sure that he was able to, what I'm saying, he was able to breathe. Cause obviously he been missing that long. And he supposedly was underwater and he showed signs to somebody. And they tested him, tested his physical, showed signs of somebody who had been underwater. And obviously he still was alright. I know I used to sound so crazy to my brother, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I think we could actually do that shit. And then when you get into the scientific studies, when they talk about how we so-called evolved, you feel me? We started out something that was in the water. When I get to talking about the separation of the firmaments, separate the higher water from the lower. We came from the man, quit playing with me. But anyway, the man did that, came back, told the story. Man, then the other day, 44. This is where the smoke come in. 44 dolphins came up unalive. You know what I'm saying? And that's where we are today. So, given the interest, you know what I'm saying, the conversation, I'm definitely going to compile some information and do another live. We got to do it, man. For the fallen soldiers, you know what I'm saying? And, I want to talk about how it's illegal to even communicate. That's what they say. It's illegal to even communicate with dolphins. And it's crazy because me and some of my brothers, we always get this conversation where people be like, y'all just talking, y'all not doing that, then da 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 da. But it seems like it never fails. When we have certain conversations, it's playing out over the world. It's like a seed. When you have the desire, you know, eventually it aligns with the need if you're not dealing with something that you've been promoted to pay attention to. It's like it's in preparation. The desire is in preparation for the alignment of your needs to be fulfilled. So we was having a conversation about animals and folks trying to be funny. You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling them about dolphins and the importance of them and just animals in general, right? You know, it was mentioned by one of the other brothers, it's illegal to even communicate with dolphins. You know, I was telling them how we can communicate with the animals through telepathy and all that type of shit. You feel me? How they communicate with us. So next time we was playing, they Googled it, found out it was, you know. So I'm grateful to the universe that I allowed for myself to be a conduit. The role that I was allowed to come back and play. You feel me? And how it's coming into play. So, feel free to do y'all research on it. We definitely, you know what I'm saying? G Money, if you trying to get on that, we can definitely, I'm talking about get on that my city and start tapping in. We can definitely get on that my silly. That's funny. My silly young. My humor is tasteful. That's what I'm getting. My humor. What's up with it? That's crazy. I said I was only gonna do 30 minutes. We done been on this thing for an hour. I do appreciate the law of sustainment being exercised through me. As I identify myself as a as an orator, and obviously, if they say you're a liar, if you get found lying, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, I'm an orator if you find me. Orator. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate the love, family. Let me see something real. Nah, because if I do it right now, G, we gonna be on here for a minute. But G, I'm gonna reach out to you and let's try to synchronize a time or a destination in this realm for us to come together and have that conversation. Um, and I need for you to be as silly, you know what I mean? Meaning as open minded as possible. You know what I'm saying? I need you to not believe as much, you feel me, as possible. So we can try to get to the bottom of it. I don't deal in the, believe what I say. Now let's figure it out, because I'm trying to figure it out myself. But certain downloads or uploads come to me, and I'm just, you know, crazy enough to step out of the logical. So you know what I'm talking about? Allow for future truths. I don't even like playing with that time no more. Like time period. It's like it's a construct. So I'm just like, man, postpone truths to come forth. Unknown at the moment truths to come forth. We're gonna be talking for like, man, indeed. Indeed. Let's do it though. Let's do it though cause like whatever we doing right now, G Money, we been doing for lifetimes. You feel me? Like we you know what I'm saying? We just being more of ourselves to the point that now we manifested each other this lifetime. You feel me? I'm glad that we both was allowed to coexist, or whatever part of the so-called plane, um, extraterrestrial place that we exist in, planet, um, um, extra in the sense of we exist on this terraform. You feel me? So, sheesh. I'm kind of look. I done got excited like we about to, like we little kids about to go to the park or about to go to the candy store. Like it's finna, man, it's finna be dope. It's finna be dope. We gonna get higher understandings on this. Um, what is that? Onyx speaks what it is though. Yeah, Mike. If you interested in the conversation, man, let me know. Um, it's always good to have some balance. And man, you cheesing me. I'm look. I'm trying to, I gotta stay copacetic on the surface. You know what I'm saying? I gotta stay copacetic on the surface. I wanna don't wanna throw nobody off. What's up with the Queen of Nashville? What we doing? I'm still in the city right now. I'm still in the city right now. I've been meaning to. You got it, sis. I've been meaning to put some things together. Might not be time yet, you know what I'm saying? But I definitely want to do something for the city. You know what I'm talking about? So they know, you know, it wasn't in vain the time they done spent with me, allowing me to cultivate when I was a youngin'. But I've been away from the city for a long time, But I take it wherever I go, respectfully. Um, I take it wherever I go. And I feel like being from this city, a lot of times it's allowed for me to interface with people from so many different places because you're like a crossing path, you know what I'm saying? A crossroad for people to get to so many places or to come from so many different places. A lot of people moved here. So we grew up with a lot of different kind of people, a lot of different energies. It's a lot of energy that flows through here naturally in nature. All that good shit, you feel me? So I'm grateful, grateful. That being said, Miss Queen of Nashville, we're gonna get you to turn your notifications on. I need to just make. I'm gonna start making a list of the fam so I can be, you know, having y'all in thought to the point we wind up coming together. You know what I'm saying? Cause I'm crazy enough to know that when you think about somebody, they show up. They show up. So think about me going through some great things for the greater good of my existence. You feel me? You know, and if you want to think about me, you know what I'm saying, running that bag up just so I can get to somebody else who think that that's all that matters. So once they get it, they can put their folks somewhere else because now they finally got what they thought they wanted, and now they can see that it's so much more to life. You feel me? Um, you feel me? When you see me, there'll be no beauty that you desire if you're only looking on the surface. But know that there's so much more to my purpose. This earth is just one of the rooms in which I splurge with. But the kingdoms is endless. Know that you're projecting your energy into this existence. So don't let any of this temporary experience cause you to have internal dialogues as though it's not anything other than just a temporary experience, man. Stop talking crazy to yourself. In so many words. Watch your mouth. With that being said, family, I love you as myself, and it ain't nothing you can do about it. As we are one. And I'm so glad we in connection. Kinfolk. Now that we see what they talking about. Now you see what they talking about. Cause we just came over here. Come on. Put up a chair to the round table. Or we just broke it all down. Say what? We just broke bread right now. Peace within, so you know it's peace that we giving out. And I know you about to have another lovely day. Look how we started out. Peace and love.